a very simple formula that took me like 20 years to basically figure this thing out. I read books like Think and Grow Rich and Psycho-Cybernetics, and I read so many different books on understanding why certain people are successful and certain people are not successful. And I was obsessed with those philosophies. And I basically learned this, I created this formula. So performance is what we do. It's not what we receive. Let me be clear on that. Knowledge is what we've been taught. So it's for our programming. So for example, like a knowledge would be, hey, I want you to say these things. I want you to say, I get you. I want you to ask open-ended questions. I want you to ask closed-ended questions. I want you to ask triple-blind questions. I want you to be provocative. I want you to tell your company story. So knowledge is what we've been kind of taught to do. And it should equal performance equals knowledge, meaning that it should be, hey, all the things that we learn in life, we should immediately go do it. Like if I read something, if I listen to a podcast and they tell me, hey, here's the 10 steps to be healthy today, then I should get that knowledge and I should go do it. I should go do the 10 steps to be healthy today. But we're human beings. We've got free will. There's some other force in our life that's holding us back from doing the things that we know, and that's the leashes. So we have to minus out the leashes. So what are those leashes? Those leashes are the things that we believe to be true, the things that I believe to be true, but they're not really true. Like they're actually holding me back from being the best version of me. One of the leashes that it said that I had was selling to my friends and family. I had that leash. For some reason, I always felt you got to kind of separate business and pleasure. I was also concerned about, if I'm selling something to my friend or family, then, it's like, I can't have them over to a party or Thanksgiving or, this or that. They're going to bring up, maybe it's not going to work. Maybe it's going to, I don't know, So I had some leashes around that. And so any time that I was communicating with my friends and family around what I was selling, I was not bold, brave, and honest. I was not the best version of me. So I had the knowledge, so I knew what I was supposed to do, but I didn't do it in that circumstance because I was more brave, bold, and honest selling to a complete stranger than I was selling to my friends and family. My friends and family, I wasn't as on. I wasn't as protector-like. I wasn't as leader-like. I was much more passive with those people. But if you're a complete stranger, I was all in. I was all in. I was completely unleashed. So if you relate to this, say yes, right? Relate to this, meaning that you do feel more confident to be bold and brave and speak your truth to a stranger than to a friend or a family member, right? So that's how I felt until I had some great coaching. I believe the coaching along the way makes all the difference. I believe that, again, we are who we are because of our resources, and one of the greatest ways to up-level our resources is to demand coaching, which I'll talk about later today. I haven't always been, but the second half of my life, I started really embracing coaching. And I had this mentor one time that said, well, Jason, what's going to happen if you let your best friend or your family member buy from XYZ builder? And I said, well, it'd be horrible. So why is it horrible? He said, well, they don't really finish the house correctly. They cut corners, they move the house and they use kind of cheap products and they don't, inspect it very well. And it's just gonna be a train wreck when they move in. Okay, so Jason, so why aren't you speaking your truth to them? Why aren't you being honest with them? Why don't you tell them that? Well, I don't know. I mean, they're $20,000 less over there. And, I just don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to, kind of think, I don't want them to think less of me, right? I don't want them to do that. And so at that moment, I got in kind of a little bit of a bind because my mentor, my coach at the time said, well, Jason, how are you going to feel if you were invited over to their housewarming party and they're complaining about the house that they purchased and they're stuck now. They can't get out, right? They can't get out. They just bought a house. They can't get out. You can't cancel in the house. But you knew that you had something deep inside of you that you could have told them to protect them, to save them from themselves, to save them from this mistake they were going to make. How are you going to feel now? Like, what kind of friend are you now? What kind of family were you now? What kind of, a son or daughter or uncle or aunt? What are you now? I was like, well, I'd be a pretty shitty one. I'd be a pretty bad one if that was the case. And so that was kind of a big moment for me. The big moment for me was, I need to see that my friends and family, even more so, deserve the best version of me. And if I have truth, if I have information, if I have knowledge that they don't have, then it's my perfect right to deliver that knowledge to them and to speak my truth to them and to give them that information. So that's an example of a leash. So a leash is any story, self-image, reluctance, or rule that is preventing you from using what you know to do, to being the best version of you in all circumstances. Meaning that you sell to the cultural buyer the same way that you sell to a non-cultural buyer. You sell to the gatekeeper the same way that you sell to the decision maker. You sell to the realtor the same way that you sell to the homeowner. Like, there's no leashes. You're the best version of you in all situations. That technically would be 100% unleashed. If you want to learn more about that, in your box, I believe you have a book called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior, and in the Warrior Academy, there is there you go, Cordy's showing it up. So also in Warrior Academy, there's a curriculum in there called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior, where I will read you the book in my soothing voice. And then Mary and I will talk about each chapter and each strategy on how to unleash yourself. So if you want to learn even more about that, that's a free resource for you as a part of this program. Okay. So let me give you some leash math though, and how this really impacts you in the real world. So you see the connection, what we're going to work on over the next 6 weeks or so. So a veteran, let's just do a hypothetical example. So as a veteran, I want you to put the number 3 equals 10 minus 7. So what does that mean? It means that they have a knowledge of a 10. They've been selling what they've been selling for many, many years. Like they know the ins and outs of obviously what they're selling. They got the product knowledge down, the brand knowledge, the financing knowledge. They got it down, right? They got it down. But they also have been picked up a lot of leashes along the way. What are leashes? Leashes are like a virus. It's like the COVID virus. Like you just pick it up along the way, from being around certain people and hearing things and listening to things and their experiences. And so because of that, you get a 7 on leashes. So you have a performance rating of 10 minus 7 equals 3. And then all of a sudden a newbie comes in and goes through some onboarding and has some initial training of a 4, right? So their initial training is a 4. So knowledge is a 4. They have 0 leashes. And so 4 minus 0 is 4, right? So they've got performance rating of 4. They have a knowledge equals knowledge of 4, and they have leashes of 0. So this is just a simple kind of example of so often why we see newbies, brand new people that don't know really anything, that barely know anything about what they're selling, but because they're so unleashed, they will sell more than an experienced veteran in the first 6 months or so. Now, listen to what I just said. Put in the chat box, why is it that a brand new person will sell more in the first 6 months, but then in some instances on month 7, 8, 9, they start to sell equal to or even less than the veteran? What happens then? Why is that? That's it. Yeah, they're picking up leashes, right? They don't know they can't sell to a one-legged buyer, an absentee buyer, a buyer that's only the husband and wife is present. They don't know they can't sell to Indian and cultural buyers. They don't know that realtors get in the way. They don't know that, when I'm selling business products, that people only buy things, once a year in a budgetary season. If it's out of the budget, they don't buy it. They don't know that's a thing until they've been taught it through their experiences or through the veterans along the way. And so we pick up these leashes along the way. So what's your commitment, right? So here's my challenge for you. My challenge for you is to be constantly self-aware of what are you thinking about saying and doing. So meaning like, what else can you do differently? What's new knowledge that you need to have? What's the problem you're trying to solve right now? So run towards that problem, right? What's the problem I'm trying to solve? What's the new knowledge I need to gain, right? So what's my new thinking I need to have? My new philosophy around this? What do I need to say in order to sell through this? What do I need to do in order to sell through this? That's the knowledge. But then ask yourself, what's stopping me from doing this? What a great question, right? What's stopping me from doing this? And that's the leash. What's preventing me from doing this 100% of the time? From saying this 100% of the time? That's the leash. And so we need to be constantly adding more knowledge. We need to be removing those leashes that prevent us from doing it. So again, leashes come from what? They come from experiences, they come from parents, they come from past trainers, they come from philosophers, from those who can't teach, they come from past bosses, etc. They come from all those kind of past experiences we get them from. Last thing I want to share with you, and we'll take a break, is that you are enough. You are enough. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so this is not like a soft kumbaya moment. Okay, so let me be clear when I say this. It's not, you're enough, you're great, everyone's great, you're wonderful, you're enough. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, you are capable of anything that you desire to achieve. And you are doing the best you can with what you say, do, and think about. And if you would like to give yourself more freedom, get more peace, less stress in your life, then just find someone who's doing it and model them. Learn, ask questions, figure it out. When I say that you're enough, it doesn't mean that you're enough in the sense of stop trying, stop learning, just rest on your laurels. No, it means that you are enough in the sense of you are capable of achieving anything that you desire in life. You just have to put in the work in order to make it. But you're a huge open vessel that just needs to be expanded, just needs to be tapped into. And that's the belief I have. I also believe, and we also believe, that you're not broken. You're not broken. Meaning that right now you're just thinking things differently. That if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So you're not broken. And then last is we're not here to fix you. We're here to liberate you. So we're here to give you a new way to say things, a new way to think about things, and a new way to do things. We're here to unleash you. We're here to liberate you. We're here to give you some new resources, because again, we're all doing the best we can, the resources we have, and positive change always comes from adding more resources.